be in Alex's deck here. And, you know, Alolan Vulpix V-Star has got that attack, whereby it does 160 damage, not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, but most importantly, during your opponent's next turn, you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks and Pokemon that have an ability. And a lot of Robs do have abilities. Although, speaking of Rob, World's Top 64, Top 16 Prague Special Event, EUIC Top 64 and UK National Champion, not a bad set of accomplishments there. Yeah,
you've got to think Rob started to think this matchup through in his preparation for this top 8. As soon as you know what your opponent is playing, you can start discussing with friends and just theorying through your game plan. As you said, trying to weave in those Regieleki V might be very important. For Alex, he loves coming over to Europe. He's got a second place with that Warsaw Regionals. That was in this season, and has also got another few finalists. I think there's a pattern here. Unfortunately for Alex, he goes very far into tournaments, but other than the Players' Cup, he's not managed that crucial victory. It's still something that he's trying to shake off his back.
Absolutely, trying to kind of break that finalist curse here, getting through to the win. So yeah, this Alolan Vulpix V-Star, in theory, can basically shut down Rob's deck other than Regieleki V. But the Regieleki V is a decent attacker, and Rob has got speed on his side. We would expect Rob to take the first couple of prizes, first couple of knockouts maybe in this particular game. So the first couple turns, how Zoom can Miraidon go is going to be a bit of a theme.
Yeah, it feels very cat and mousey actually, because even if Rob does quickly target to the likes of Arceus, there's even the option of Alolan Vulpix's V-Star power as well. So there's actually a few different options for both players to be aware of. And Rob has to find this fine balance of evolving into VMAXs so that he can knock out V-Star amounts of hit points, but keeping enough Regieleki around so that he still has answers to Vulpix.
Yeah, Alolan Vulpix V-Star for 0 energy does 70 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon V in play. Well, there's probably going to be a few Pokemon V in play between potentially your Raikou, definitely your Regieleki, so it is going to be an interesting one. Generally, we look at Arceus and we go, oh, Starbirth, obviously Starbirth, but that Alolan Vulpix is kind of sitting there being like, hey, mate, I've got a V-Star power too. It's actually it's not why Alex plays it, but it's a pretty good one to have there in reserve.
Feels like a really big card. I feel like the Duraludon could get into the mix as well. It does hit 220, which is enough to deal with Miraidons, and it has high hit points, so you can try and force that awkward prize map as well for Alex, where you force 2 V-Star Pokemon and a VMAX to go down in prizes, so forcing that 7 prize game, which we talk about so much. But nothing too awkward in the prize cards. We are off, and it looks like Alex is starting our first of a best of 3 in top 8. We have even more time on the clock now as well, as you can see in the middle of your screen, and straight away, Alex identifying that Alolan Vulpix going to be a good one this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Benches that straight away, of course. Alex, but maybe in the earlier rounds of the tournament, no. But by the time you get to top 8, Alex and Rob, they've both been on stream. They know what each other's playing. So at this stage, Alex is not going to be... He's not going to be caught off guard. He knows he's playing against this Miraidon deck. So Alex has been thinking, you know, pretty much since the moment he got his matchup confirmed against Rob, he's going to be thinking which attackers in my deck are going to be best at dealing. And you identified the Duraludon. We talked about the Alolan Vulpix. That seems what we've got. And we got turn 1 energy on an Arceus, which is honestly the best you could hope for.
Yeah, it's exceptional, but Rob has tempo, he has pressure, he could try and go for an early knockout. I see early Professor's Research and a Ball Search card, and it only takes 1 Ball Search card for Rob to fill his entire board thanks to Tandem Unit, and that's got to be what Rob will eye up here. But first, he's going to have a quick routine look through his deck to make sure that he knows what he has available to him. Looking towards how many electricity generators are going to be a huge thing here. The Echoing Horn that's on top of the deck can be a great way for Rob to take some easier prize cards and not have to deal with some higher hit point stuff. So there are certainly tricks up Rob's sleeve here, as we are seeing the expected Miraidon EX search from this Ultra Ball, and we're going to start uniting the friends out.
Yeah, Tandem Unit gets you 2 Lightning Pokemon, but of course, we saw Rob straight away there. The first one was a Miraidon, and then you get your Regieleki V. So now you've got another Miraidon which can use that ability. This isn't limited to once during your turn, it's limited to once during your turn per Miraidon. Now, the amount of... Okay, now, this is interesting to me, because now that we've got 4 Pokemon V down, that means Alolan Vulpix V-Star's V-Star ability, or power, will do 280 damage, which is easily enough to KO a Miraidon. If there were only 3, it wouldn't be, but it's also potentially enough with the single choice bout in Alex's list, could actually get to free 10 and KO a Regieleki V Max for free prizes. So having 4 Pokemon V out is actually really big.
Very big to point out. Great spot there. We'll have to follow that as we go, as Rob is going to research away a research and sees a number of lightning energy. I believe there's a generator as well, but it's going to be a fleet-footed first from Rob. He seems to always prefer to fleet-footed. You have no information of what your top deck is, so it's not really a gamble. You could hit a lightning energy, and it's kind of like a head slap moment. But in this case, drawn into another generator, he's essentially got a 6-card dig now for this first one.
Yeah, that one's quite a nice
Straight
energy.
away.
Oh,
Wow.
double energy straight away. That is huge off the electric generator. So you get 2 energy. Now Miraidon is ready to go. If we can get this out of the active, this Raikou, we've got a KO on the Arceus turn 1. And this is the kind of thing that Rob's deck can do that gives him such an advantage. And I know Rob has not had his best results on stream so far today, but you better believe he's done this a bunch.
Yeah, my goodness, already 3 energy on Miraidon. EX with another generator in hand. We've already turned attached,
we've already
of course.
turned attached. Don't do that, Rob. That would be bad.
It's going to force an escape rope, which is in hand for Rob at the very least, so we can get a knockout here. There's also the option to Cram-O-Matic. I don't think you should be Cram-O-Maticing away your other generators. They are too important.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, debating getting rid of escape rope here, thinking that dealing with Arceus is most important. I have to feel like roping and just taking 2 prizes is the best route here.
Yeah, take the 2 prizes, because the problem here is if you Cram-O-Matic, get rid of the escape rope and flip a tails.
You pass.
And you're not getting a prize. It's too risky. The upside for hitting heads is not worth the downside of hitting tails.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is huge. You better hit heads here, Rob. Oh no, he hits a tails. So all he did there was throw away his electric generator, and we just, drew so well off that in the first place. We are still going to get 2 prizes, but now Alex gets to decide which Pokemon gets given away, and it had to be the Duraludon. That was the obvious choice here. It is, I'm just double checking the HP on this, so make sure it does go down. It is 220.
That's one of the big losses from rotation, actually losing the sort of better Duraludon V that had the hard coat ability, making it effectively 250 hit points.
Yes.
But Alex can come straight back. We've got Ultra Ball, we've got Vulpix. We're going to go searching for the V-Star, and I think it is going to be an early Silvery Snow Star here.
And that would work quite nicely, like we say. There's 4 Pokemon V on the field. There we go, gets it straight away. If Rob only went for 2 Regieleki, there would be 3 Pokemon V on the field. This would do 210. It would force Alex to go for his lone copy of Choice Bout in order to get a KO here. Now, Rob has obviously identified Regieleki as good, both as an attacker and as a VMAX to add on extra damage. But it's got to be pointed out here that if Rob had gone for 1 fewer Regieleki, then Alex would be digging for a Choice Belt here.
And Rob already got rid of a generator with the Cram-O-Matic, so this is all the energy off of Rob's board, all in one foul swoop, and Rob's going to have to go searching for even more.
So this
is big from Alex. Does flip the V-Star marker, takes 2 prizes in response here, but his board state is far better than Rob's.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Rob's got all of his lightning Pokemon out, and even the space here can be easily filled by that tandem unit ability. The problem Rob's got here is he doesn't have any energy, and we've seen 2 electric generator already hit the discard pile. 1 get played, 1 get thrown away with Cram-O-Matic. So Rob here is going to have to... I mean, it is possible, but Rob is going to need to hit well off an electric generator.
Has to find one first.
That too. Get 2 Regieleki V-Star, VMAX, sorry, and then there will actually be a response KO for 2 prizes, and Rob's in very good position, but that is a lot to ask for. This feels like it's going to be a short game, one way or the other.
It's not looking great. I'd love to see tandem unit for the second Raikou out of the deck before any other action. There is Cram-O-Matic once again in hand now with your only switch cart. Rob may also be eyeing up which targets to Serena here as well. Feels like you probably want to flip the coin with Cram first, just because it's a -2 at the very least.
Yeah. And switch cart is not as bad as throwing away an electric generator. This is a Cram-O-Matic I am absolutely behind. Because the other thing is now, item cards are quite hard to search out from your deck. There's not much that will search them. So Cram-O-Matic being able to search out those item cards can be pretty good. We do see an ability from the Raikou there, drawing a card. We get the, so it does seem like we are going straight into Miraidon.
Yeah, but fortunately, there's been a Silvery Snow Star and not the attack from Vulpix, which denies your Pokemon with abilities from hitting into you. So, thanks with the VMAX already evolved up, Miraidon, if we do get 3 energy back all this turn, you can knock out this Vulpix.
And this would be huge. It's a lot to ask. And Rob's actually got a bunch of energy in hand, which can be a little bit awkward. So it looks like we're going Regieleki V Max into the active here with the switch card.
Yeah, it's got the free retreat, so you will just Serena now.
Yep.
And it's 4 cards. We're obviously looking for generators at this point.
Energy, Ultra Ball, switch cards.
It's such low odds with 2 already removed.
It really is. And that's
no dice there at all.
And that's why someone like Cramomatic can be so big here, because now Cramomatic becomes absolutely huge for trying to find your electric generator that are so hard to draw into naturally as it is. And this is not a deck that's got great draw. It's not like we see with these Gardevoir decks, these Lost Zone decks where you're drawing continually. Like Greninja is about the only draw you've got on the field.
Yep.
You're relying on your first couple of turns and hitting those electric generator, or else your deck can kind of sputter a little bit. There is still a possibility here. He would need to get electric generator and a Regieleki V Max and hit 2 energy off the electric generator. That is a lot to ask. Possible, but it's a lot to ask.
Rob's still dreaming. Let's have a look at these 2 cards. No help at all, unfortunately, for Rob from the concealed cards. Also had those Forest Seal Stones as outs that could have helped a little bit, but as you say, the generators aren't guarantees, and this is a big window of opportunity for Alex. Has Switch. I'm not sure if there's any energy in Alex's hand right now, so he may be forced into a Judge here, potentially. Oh, it has the Chorus's Experiment. Looking at 5 cards, we do find an energy, so Alex can at least get a hit in with his Arceus V-Star here.
Yeah, the good news for Rob is that this won't be taking any kind of prizes. It's going to hit into the Regieleki V Max, and that will essentially give Rob one more turn. One more turn to try and hit this combo, to try and essentially keep up with the prize race. The problem is Rob now kind of needs to get the Alolan Vulpix, because what Alex is going to do is hit for 200, not terribly relevant, and accelerate energy to the Alolan Vulpix, and then next turn Alex starts attacking with the Alolan Vulpix, and that is going to be incredibly relevant. Rob needs to try and make sure that before that happens he can take out the Vulpix, but now he's going to need Regieleki V Max, an energy, an Electro Generator for another energy, and a Boss's Orders or an Escape Rope. It's a lot of cards I just mentioned.
The list goes on. So many cards required for Rob. This early tempo play was easily responded by this Alolan Vulpix V-Star, and it looks like Alex is now in the ascendancy, figuring out what to remove with this Ultra Ball. Going to get rid of a few Arceus V-Star, saying that these are the only 2 Pokemon I need at this stage. Seems pretty okay to me. Could even look for possibly even Gardevoir EX. Oh, sorry, Gardevoir Radiant, I should say. I've been talking so much about Gardevoir over the last few rounds. But yeah, the Radiant Gardevoir could be another way to offset some math here. It's
pretty obvious that one of the card designers is a big Gardevoir fan. We get so many good Gardevoir cards all the time. You know, we see all the different options you've got in the Gardevoir deck, and then you've got Radiant Gardevoir as well. Does look like we've got a Duraludon hitting the bench here, and we see the switch there into the Arceus. So here we are going to see with this Trinity Nova, you're going to deal 200 damage, and then that softens it up for a KO in the future. But way more importantly here is getting the energy on and actually prioritizing the Duraludon over the Alolan Vulpix.
Well, the Vulpix can use double turbo energy, so it feels like 1 is still pretty relevant, and Alex making sure that he doesn't miss a beat at this stage. He feels slightly ahead, especially if Rob cannot piece together a knockout here. It feels like Alex has a pretty easy way of just attacking twice to win with both of these Pokemon now pretty close to being set up. There's even pulled out the final Metal Energy in Alex's deck with 3 on the active Arceus. But I think, Rob's hand is just not looking great. They're just beach courts right now.
And we had the chance. I think we had the chance. Rob had the chance at the beginning of the game. That was what was so big. It was that big KO at the beginning, but getting rid of that Electro Generator, opening up the door for the Alolan Vulpix V-Star as well. And it was kind of a worst case scenario. You don't hit heads on the Cramomatic. Your opponent does end up getting the KO with the Alolan Vulpix. And then you end up with just a little bit too little left here. And Rob needs so much at this point. And I've got to reiterate, it is a deck that does not draw a huge amount of cards. You get the first explosive couple of turns, and after that, it's very much a classic, I play supporter, I play what I draw of supporter. That is it, that is my lot.
And when there's no supporter, it's a panic fleet-footed. And that's what we're going to see here. Rob thinning the deck of a VMAX. It is certainly relevant. And it will be, oh wow, actually a retreat into another VMAX, not going into the Raikou, because if you whiff off fleet-footed, the Arceus can just take 2 prizes immediately. So instead, trying to dodge boss's orders for a turn here. But nope, there's the boss's orders.
Did not dodge it very well, unfortunately. And now we're going to see a KO with Arceus. And if you're an Arceus player, this is the best case scenario.
Yep.
When you're taking KOs with Arceus while accelerating energy to the ones you actually want to attack with. And we are very close to the end of this game here. We're not very far in. We've got 75 minutes here for the Top Cup. But it does feel like Alex is in a commanding position, takes 3 prizes, goes down to 1 remaining. And the problem for Rob is here, even if he could now engineer a KO, Alex has a couple of different Pokemon with which he can respond, and it really does feel like Alex has set his board up very, very well to just essentially do whatever he gosh darn well feels like.
Rob has top deck Serena, so has a few things to debate here, and I don't know if we've seen the fleet-footed yet. I imagine this is probably the tandem unit in case there's any other Pokemon that can be thinned from the deck first. Yep, it is going to be the second Raikou coming onto the board, thanks to your Miraidon EX. But it feels really tough. That Cramomatic, the game could have been so different for Rob. A, had it been heads, or B, if it had just been held onto to see what happened with the generator, because he's just not been able to find generators 2 and 3.
No, unfortunately not.
Those so many energy as well. Even if this Cram hits a generator, you just have drawn so many lightning at this stage.
Good news is we do hit ahead, so could potentially go for the generator. My biggest concern, I mean, the lightning and having it all in hand, very relevant. My biggest concern here is just, does Alex even really care if Rob gets a KO?
That's the problem. Well, the good news for Rob is that the Duraludon isn't a VMAX and it hasn't got that 3rd energy on just yet. So it's not like taking this knockout, you're just going to lose immediately. The Vulpix doesn't deal a huge amount of damage. It pressurizes in another way. It just pressurizes what you can hit back with. And we know Rob can simply gust around the Vulpix at this point, just based on how many prizes he's already taken and what's on the board. So the only real hope is that Duraludon is not yet prepped up.
Yeah, so we do see the electric generator coming down here. This is absolutely huge. Feels like he needs to hit 2 off of here. We know. Yes. No. Yes, he hits a double off the electric generator.
You know what? He did not have many lightning energies left either.
He
drew so many from the Serena.
I did bump into Rob's partner earlier, and we were having a lovely chat in one of my breaks, and she was telling me that Rob has not been hitting great off electric generator all tournament so far, or at least not been hitting as well as he might like. Still been doing very well apparently in the tournament, but those electric generators, so I'm told, have not been terribly kind, but the ones he's playing in this game are being very kind.
Going to be the fleet-footed now into Ultra Ball. We do have the beach court for retreating. We've drawn into the Ultra Ball, but I believe there's a VMAX in the prize cards, and that might be denying Robert from a KO here.
Yeah, and that would be awkward. You don't really want the VMAX. You want to keep the V to attack into Alolan Vulpix, but like you've said, from now on, we are just ignoring the Alolan Vulpix. So yeah. We kind of have to. Oh, we do. Oh, it's not even. No, that's just thinning your hand.
Well, it's not in deck. So we can't. If the card you want's not in deck, well, there we go. We see an easy boss's orders from Alex. We'll be able to knock out the Radiant Greninja, and that goes game 1.
Yeah, Alex takes a 1-0 lead, absolutely just in control. And I think the thing that impressed me most in that game, Alex knew exactly what he was doing.
I'm just seeing the expression of Alex. He's breathing a huge sigh of relief here. He's been in this position many times, but he's up against quite a stressful matchup.
Yeah, this is a stressful matchup, and this does need to be pointed out. If Rob goes off here, that 1-1 Alolan Vulpix line, it's really not that amazing. It's fine, but Rob's got Regieleki V. You do 100, you reduce by 100, so you're going to get a second attack. Yep. Rob can easily, trade 2 hit KOs of Alolan Vulpix, and then it's gone. It's fine as a nice little bonus, but I don't think it's going to carry this matchup like it would carry some others, because Regieleki V is such a good option. And I think, there were certainly moments there, especially playing that 4th Pokemon V, which we saw as we got to the end. Rob needed all those Regieleki V out, but just getting it in the early doors, opening the door there to that potential play from that Alolan Vulpix. And that game could very easily have gone the other way with just a couple little changes.
Such fine margins with this Miraidon deck. It keeps you honest, it stays up in tempo no matter what, and it always has that wide range. It could potentially get there on certain turns, and it only takes, one fleet-footed into a research, and then suddenly Rob's straight back into that game. So, yeah, it felt like his deck stopped and started a little bit, and is going to hope that he has a more fluid approach in the second game.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel mean putting Rob on stream, quite frankly. If we take out the intentional draw, Rob's record off stream is 11-1.
Right.
Rob's record on stream is 0-1-1. So I'm just starting to feel really guilty putting him on stream. It's a pure coincidence. Rob's a very good player. Rob has been here before, won national championships. Rob isn't being put off playing on stream. It's just one of those awkward things where we just keep picking the worst possible time to pop him onto stream. As it is, he seems to have a decent matchup here. The one saving grace is we've got 75 minutes in Top Cut. There is plenty of time to play out these 3 games. That was not a terribly long game 1. So, yeah, you lose game 1, but the extra 25 minutes, 50% extra time makes a big difference. Nothing in Alex's prizes is scaring me, though.
No, not too much. Seems all good here for Alex, and is also getting the benefit of a mulligan. Rob is just going to have to sit back and focus now. It feels like there were some questionable choices in the first game, so he's really going to have to tighten up the play if he's going to win the next 2 on the bounce.
Yeah, it is going to have to make sure he plays flawlessly here, because Alex has shown if you leave any opening, I will take advantage. We have 1 electro generator in the prizes,
Ooh.
2 in the prize. That's what you don't want to see.
That is a yikes.
The good news is it's one that you'll probably draw quite quickly if you start taking prizes. But we've seen Rob's deck loves the turn 1 electric generator. That is much harder to find when you're only playing 2.
Yeah, I think a big part of Rob's list actually playing double Forest Sealstone and Crams are so that you can find your 4 of. And in this case, we're having to cherry pick the 2 count that's remaining in the deck. So Rob, at the very least, is going first and has Regieleki V in the active with the Miraidon EX tandem uniting out those Lightning Boys.
And you better believe that Rob is going to find very, very quickly. He's going to look. Electric Generator is one of the first cards you look through, regardless of matchup, when you play a Miraidon. And Rob is about to discover there are only 2 in the deck, which basically gives him some important information. If, now all of a sudden, risking those Cramomatic becomes more important. Trying to get that Forest Seal Stone becomes more important. And also, if you are lucky enough to be able to flip heads on a Cramomatic or find that Forest Seal Stone, you have to go after Electric Generator, because it's going to be so much more difficult to find them otherwise.
Very often we are seeing Rob unit for another unit, and we get that second Regieleki V developed. Rob is keeping that last board space open, potentially for Radiant Greninja here, or just keeping that option more flexible this time around. We saw how Rob did get punished by getting that additional V into play, and how it played into Alex's hands with the Silvery Snow Star. And Rob actually has that Greninja in the hand right now, and I believe also actually does have a generator.
Oh, nice. Did he hit it turn 1 with 2 prize?
Unless it's Nest Ball, it could be that. I'm not really too sure, but I feel like you possibly would have played Nest Ball just to thin it at this stage. I believe there's one in the middle of the hand. Quick fleet-footed into the Echoing Horn. No turn attachment is rough, but he still has explosive potential as we pass it over to Alex here.
He does, and I don't mind this so much, because you can't attack turn 1 going first.
Yeah.
So it's really not the end of the world. I like the fact that Rob has really limited it to 3 Pokemon V this time. Like I said, Alex can still get those big KOs, but it would involve getting your 1 of choice belt, which, as we've seen, it can be, item cards and tool cards. They might not be the same category of card anymore, but one thing they've still got very much in common is if you're only playing 1 of them, it is hard to find it when you want it, unless you're using something like, for instance, Starbirth, but you're not going to use Starbirth to get your choice belt to use Alolan Vulpix's V-Star power. No. That would be a silly move.
Alex does at least have Nest Ball for Arceus, and we see the attachment of double Turbo Energy. We're also going to see the Professor's Research here, going to get rid of that Luminion, a few energy, and a Duraludon VMAX. Are we going to see any switching option for additional Pokemon? No. This is actually quite scary for Alex. Has Ball Search, but might have to commit it to another Arceus immediately, because he knows that Rob can knock out a V quite happily.
He's drawn all 4 double Turbo Energy already. And he's now having talkable 2 of them away. We got 1 attached to Arceus, we got 1 in hand. And that's kind of important because double turbo energy, it works on Arceus, it works on Alolan Vulpix. It is a double energy which will power up some of your attackers. And now that it's basically gone, there's 1 more left for the rest of the game. And that means, you know, we saw in the previous game, Alex used Arceus, only put 1 energy on the Alolan Vulpix because I can double turbo later. Well, now that's much less of an option than it was in game 1. So that's kind of sneaky awkward here.
Alex will search a Duraludon V and pass things over to Rob, who picks up the Professor's Research. That's actually massive. We even see an Echoing Horn to bring back the Luminion. That's a really easy 2-prizer, so that's very handy that Alex was forced into research on the previous turn, because now Rob gets value before researching his own hand away. We have the Fleet-Footed for a quick card here. Very happy to see the Escape Rope that's in Rob's hand as well. This can force a 2-prizer into the active position.
See, now this is quite good. I mean, obviously you'd rather go after the Arceus, but here at least you get a 2-prizer, and it's presumably going to have to be Luminion that goes into the active. It's the one that's giving you the least amount of value, and it's the one that Rob is going to boss his orders at some point anyway. No, seems to be going for the Duraludon instead. I do kind of like this because Rob could potentially get an easy KO with, say, a Regieleki V in a way that he couldn't with, you know, any of the other Pokemon. So that's why Alex doesn't put the Luminion active.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And it will be 7 fresh cards for Rob here. Has drawn into some Cram. Here we go. Oh my goodness, a couple of them.
It
looks like we need them as well. If we're going to get a generator, we've got to flip some coins. I think we only have 3 items in the hand, so it might be Cram away a Cram.
Oh, that would be a little bit sad, but if that's all we've got, that's all we've got. No, we cram away a switch card here, and we get ourselves a Tails! Rob is not having the luck on Cram-O-Matic here. And these are big flips as well. In the first game, that was a big flip that came up Tails on Cram-O-Matic. Here, it is another big flip that comes up Tails. And Rob has had a decent start in terms of Pokemon, as you always do with this deck. Alex has had an okay start. This is a turn where Rob could really put pressure on if he could have an explosive turn. Yeah. It's not working. Oh, and he just passes.
Yeah, and that's the difference between heads and tails with Cram, unfortunately. Alex has a Chorus's Experiment. Let's see how this treats him. Doesn't find Arceus V-Star. I'm not sure if it was already in hand or not. I couldn't really scout too much there, but I don't think he's got great things to work with. Has Lost City. Simply just a bounce Beach Court from Rob. Deny that option. Looks like Nest Ball and Water find their way into the Lost Zone. I see Drapions. I see more Duraludons. Not too much else.
Not having the best of it. Now that is the last double turbo that we're going to be seeing for the game here, unfortunately. We are now
We're back into Gardevoir.
Oh, pop a Radiant Gardevoir and a Lost City to get rid of Beach Court. And I think Alex is now going to pass back to Rob. Someone's going to have to go off at some point. Boss's Orders is not really the top deck you were looking for. Even a random item would have opened up a Cram-O-Matic play to go and search for a generator here. Rob hasn't actually hit it, so, I mean, is there anything Rob's really got here?
No, he may be forced into a 1-prize knockout or just keeping the Greninja in the active position for yet another turn, which also comes with massive risks. Even though Alex only looked at 5 cards, you'd think that if he's not playing some of them, it could be more supporters for the following turn to help Alex reach towards something.
Yeah, and if you let Alex start going
off...
Oh,
interesting.
So Boss's Orders on the Duraludon.
Straight back into Duraludon and pass.
It's a 2 retreat cost Pokemon, which is awkward. It means you need a switch or something along those lines. And we do have a Professor's Research from Alex here, just searching for that pivot card. Oh, we see Escape Rope was a final card. Oh, there's a switch action there as well. So absolutely fine here. Do we have an Arceus V-Star, though? That would be great.
Doesn't look like it. So it's going to be Trinity Charge. And just confirming here that he would rather just get some energy rolling because it's too vulnerable to just leave Arceus alone at this stage. Rob bossed and passed, but he's now leading a 2-prize Pokemon into the active that's quite vulnerable as well. So this is actually a big break for Rob that once again he's somehow evaded giving up a prize card.
He has indeed. Of course, you know, Alex hoping that Rob is going to leave that Greninja kind of stuck in the active, not be able to get it out, and then give it up a prize, you know, maybe the following turn, or give Alex a chance to boss his orders, a more attractive target from the bench. For now, Rob has got one more turn to try and make this happen. He's got an energy in hand, but he is going to need to hit an electric generator if he's going to be getting an attack. We need energy, we need electric generator, and we need it to hit a card, and we need some kind of pivot option. Oh, 2 energy off of Greninja is not what you're looking for. Why could that not have been an electric generator?
You can see what Rob was going for as well, choosing to conceal cards because he was holding on to a cram, so any item would be really big to draw into there before throwing it all away with the Professor's Research. But as it stands, it's going to have to be Bounce Stadium. I would probably turn attach at this stage to a Miraidon before Professor's Research. I know you play so many energy, but you've been without turn attachment for so many turns, and you're forcing yourself not to hit 2 off a generator if you do manually attach.
No, I think the manual attachment here has got to be done. Just make your life that little bit easier. Now you're looking for electric generator, hit 1 card, pivot option, and then that would give you a nice easy KO on the Arceus V, go up by 2 prizes, and then force Alex to have a response. And the response...
I see generator.
Oh, did we get it, did we?
Yeah, and we've got Forest Sealstone, so we have options.
We could double generator. Well, do we have a pivot, though? That's also pretty
We've
important.
got the Beach Court. We're all good.
We do have the Beach Court. Double generator it is, Joe.
Well, possibly. It depends. If Rob does well off the first one, he may hold on to that Forest Sealstone for later. Also see an Ultra Ball can thin before this electricity generator. It is so important to make sure you're doing the sequencing correctly with this deck, because at the end of the day, you cannot guarantee what's your top 5 cards. We're even going to see the Regieleki V Max here. It's not necessarily important this turn because we don't worry too much about Gardevoir's reduction because it only matters for V Pokemon, and Miraidon is an EX. So we're already doing enough, but this is for future turns.
I just want it on the record that Rob was desperate for any item card to use Cramomatic. And then he used Professor's Research and do a bunch of Pokemon search he really didn't need. Now, here is the electric generator. We've got double!
Here we go.
Treble, but you're only allowed to get 2, so let's just call it double. And this is huge, because now we get to start building up a second one. And I'm not saying Rob has to double electric generator. I am saying it's an option if he wishes to. But what is really important here is that he's going to go ahead and take the KO here, and we don't see an easy response from Alex. Alex would need a metal energy, and it would have to be metal, and he would need the V Max. If he gets that, he will actually go and get a KO, but it's a very specific 2-card combo you need. Does he have it? He's got metal energy.
It's a big Colress here.
He needs the V Max.
Ultra Ball.
And I'm sure I saw the metal energy in hand.
Slams those Arceus away. You can see that there's pressure here. And metal energy. So we will be getting a response here with Duraludon V Max, Ultra Balling away Drapion and Nest Ball. And here we go. The big line of defense that Alex now has is trying to pulverize through Rob's vulnerable 2 prizes.
Yeah, and this is going to be awkward for Rob because that Luminion, well easy to KO. The Gardevoir, well easy to KO. Not quite as easy, actually, as Luminion, weirdly, because of the weakness. But this Duraludon, not well easy to KO. The whole, hey, you can't attack me if you've got special energy isn't relevant, and that's the main reason you play Duraludon VMAX. But basically, it's a 330 HP Pokemon that hits 220 damage. Yeah, that's a lot.
I think to make things difficult for Alex, Rob has to try and use generators to power up his own VMAX here so that he's not just falling prey to more pulverizations and forcing more gusting cards from Alex. But it looked like based on Alex's hand, he has a lot of boss's orders already in there. So I think he's got a pretty easy 2-attack game plan to win the game. Rob has to try and deal with this Duraludon first and then go about dealing with the Gardevoir.
Yeah, and if he can get the Duraludon, then that's going to be a pretty easy game for Rob. The problem is, getting rid of that Duraludon isn't good. One thing Rob has to be a little careful of, I mean, is it possible to get the Alolan Vulpix back? No, it's actually not. There's no recovery at all in Alex's deck. Okay, so that's fine. So you can go nuts with Pokemon V here. We do have an electric generator in hand.
Off the prizes. This is pretty big.
And there is still the V-Star power from that Forest Sealstone. So double generator, I'm just saying, it's still an option.
Well, we've got at least one and then a Professor's Research. And wow.
Oh, he's got it already. 3, 4, come on, 5, 5, 5. Ah.
Imagine giving that reaction and seeing that many lightning energy.
From Alex's point of view, he just looked at that and went, oh, Rob didn't hit well off the generator. But in Rob's head, he's like, oh, that would have been really cool to hit 5 energy.
Why can't I do as many as I want from the top 5? Oh, my goodness. Rob complaining about seeing too many lightning energy.
It's like, let's give me 2 or give me 5. Don't give me this 4 in between rubbish. I mean, like I say, I heard rumors that Rob has not been hitting great off generators so far. This match, the generators are coming out.
Drawn into the next one as well.
But also drawn into a couple energy. You don't want to draw that many energy. You honestly would love to draw literally everything but energy at this point. Make your electric generators a little bit better. Now, we don't actually have an attack built up yet.
Well, we can turn attached to the Miraidon, right?
We can.
So we're good, but it's another vulnerable Pokemon, yeah.
It just gets KO'd right back. Sorry, what I meant to say, we don't have an attack built up on a Pokemon that can take a hit from Duraludon.
Sure.
And I don't know if I love giving up 2 prizes. Unless you're building up to something like a Roxanne, I don't like giving up these prizes.
What a little prod. We're doing 90 damage with our Regieleki V. Oh, it's only 70, sorry, with the... Radiant Gardevoir. So this is a way that you throw chunkier Pokemon into the active, just a little switching bolt poke.
Yeah, of course it's 30, but both those Regieleki VMAX add 30 damage to your basic Lightning Pokemon's attacks. But here is the boss's orders, which will bring up that Miraidon with all the energy on, get a very easy couple of prizes, and Alex Schemanske is just 2 prizes away now from booking his spot into the top 4 of the European International Championships.
But he only has 1 Duraludon. He has no other attackers. So if Rob can piece one final Pokemon together to get a knockout, he may still be able to get over the line here. He has 2 Regieleki VMAX, increasing his damage output currently. He only has Raikou V as a real option. Your Regieleki V can't get close enough. The VMAXs don't benefit from the Transistor ability. It's only for basic Lightning Pokemon. So Robert has to think here. Can he get close enough with Lightning Rondo? I don't think he can.
I mean, he still needs to hit an electric generator. He still needs a switch to get that Greninja out the active. No, he doesn't. Beach Court is still there. Yep. So it really is just electric generator. The problem is, I mean, does he have access to a 3rd VMAX?
I'm not sure right now. I'm not seeing it in hand. Rob's going through the motions and seeing... Well, first of all, he's doing some Rondo math, I think, in his head. That's what's going on right now. You've got to think about the increases from double Transistor as well as the reduction from Radiant Gardevoir if we are looking to use a Lightning Rondo. It may be another prod with a Regieleki V here from Rob.
It's currently sitting at 140. With nothing else hitting the bench or anything else, I believe it's sitting at 140. It's 20 plus 80 for the 4 bench Pokemon, plus 60 for the 2 Regieleki VMAX, minus 20 for the Gardevoir. This is still nothing compared to what Kyle and I had to put up with in one of our games yesterday. This is easy street compared to that.
Well, here we go. Double Lightning. So Rob can go for the VMAX now and simply retreat into it and attach and hit for 220. And then you're just trying to dodge boss's orders.
Yeah, and to be fair, if you can dodge it for just a single turn and get rid of that Duraludon, you are then actually in a very good position because Alex is basically out of attackers.
Yeah.
I mean, there is 2 energy on the Luminion, which is adorable. There is water energy in the deck, let's be clear, but you do 120. 120 isn't winning the game. It'll get Luminion off the board, but if Rob takes down the Duraludon, Gardevoir will give the win. So, you know, I know we've got the energy built up on Luminion. I don't want anyone watching this to think, come on, Ross, we've got Luminion. That Luminion is not really putting in a shift here.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Rob swings with the Max Thunder and Lightning, and it's down to Alex to see whether or not there's another boss's orders in hand. Because Rob has no hand disruption. It just doesn't exist in his deck. So he is at the mercy of what Alex currently has in hand to take those last 2 prize cards. As of right now, Rob can retreat freely into this VMAX and hit the Duraludon for 220.
200 because of
200,
the
yeah, there you go.
So it goes to 270 in total, but Alex has got the boss's orders in hand. There's the fist bump, and Alex Schemanske takes a 2-0 victory, books his spot into top 4, and Rob Kinbrum, you know, that heroic journey all the way to top 8 with the Miraidon deck people were not taking seriously. That journey is at an end, and Arceus Stuff is going to be in top 4 of the European International Championships. And I've got to say, we've seen Alex on stream a couple of times so far. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and this has to feel like a great win for Alex because it's almost out of his field of vision.
Yes.
He's very intentionally teched for a number of different archetypes in this tournament and has sort of soft answers at best to Miraidon Regieleki. And when you know that your opponent has got such a good record to make it into top 8 with Miraidon, that they've got a very strong list and they're playing at a very high standard. So huge sigh of relief. You can see it right there from Alex to get through to make it into top 4. And he's got to feel like this might even be his hardest matchup before he maybe even thinks about looking at the finals.
Yep, absolutely. You know, when I was looking at the top 8, I said I liked Rob's match into top 8. I liked the idea of, you know, this counter deck or going into a counter deck with a deck that the counter deck is not prepared for. And it was not quite enough. Rob there was, in game 1, there was a couple little things that could have gone either way that didn't go for him.